Bethany from the Bedford Free Public Library, and today we are going to be shining up some pennies. Here's what you'll need for this experiment today. You'll need 5 dull brown pennies that are all about the same color. We'll use 4 of them to start with, so keep the 5th one to the side. You'll also need 4 small bowls, one for each of our cleaning solutions, a bowl of clean water, and our solutions: ketchup, mustard, lemon juice, and soapy water. You'll put about a tablespoon into each of the 4 small bowls. And then you'll need the experiment log, which is linked below the video, and some towels. This can get messy, so grab some towels, either cloth or paper. And then when you have your supplies, come on back. Okay, now that you have all of your supplies ready, we are going to get going. Now, you should take your 4 pennies and take a look at them first. See what they look like. Hopefully they are pretty well matched so that they're very similar in their color. So we're going to see what we can do to change them from that brownish color to their original shiny copper color. So here's where we're going to get out the bowls that you got ready. Let's see. So there's ketchup, mustard, lemon juice, and some soapy water. You don't need a lot of each of them, just enough to cover up the pennies. And I'm going to put 1 penny into each bowl, and eventually we'll make sure they're nice and covered up so that both sides are fully covered by the cleaning solution. And this is when it's helpful to have those towels around. So I'm going to flip this over, make sure both sides have gotten wet. Make sure plenty of mustard on both sides of this. And enough ketchup to cover that up really well. And we are going to leave these for 5 minutes. And then we're going to come back to find out what happens next. Okay? Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Let's see what those pennies are looking like. So here we have our bowls. Now, think about any predictions that you might have about what these different bowls might do to the color of the pennies. Some of these ingredients might seem a little strange. Like, why would we put a penny in ketchup to see if it'll clean it? Ketchup isn't usually a cleaning ingredient, is it? But let's see what we can do. Now, I have a bowl of water nearby so that I can take out each of these pennies. You can see they're kind of icky. And just rinse them off. I have my ketchup penny. See, mustard. I have my mustard penny ready to go. And I'm leaving each of these right by the bowl so I know where it goes when we put them back in, and I remember which pennies were in which bowls. My lemon juice and my last penny that was in the soapy water. Okay. So I have 4 pennies sitting in front of me. I'm going to move our ingredients out of the way so you can see what each of these pennies is looking like. So here's my lemon juice. No, sorry, that's the soapy water. This one's lemon juice, mustard, and ketchup. And you can see there are actually some differences in how these pennies are looking. When we started, they were all about the same color. In fact, they were all about this color. It's a pretty dull brown. But as I start comparing, those are not the same color anymore. The ketchup has had some sort of effect on this penny. The mustard? No, those 2 pennies look like they're about the same color. Lemon juice, there is some difference here. And soapy water? Nothing yet. Let's try putting all of these pennies back into their attempted cleaning solutions for another 5 minutes, okay? So go ahead, make sure you're putting the same penny back into its original bowl and come back here in 5 minutes, okay? Okay, we're back. Let's take one last look to see how shiny our pennies got in their different cleaning solutions. Now remember, they may not look like normal cleaning solutions, but we're going to talk about why some of these are having an effect on our pennies. So I'm going to start by taking my pennies out of their bowls, rinsing them off. This one has the soapy water all over it. And I'm going to be laying these down on a piece of paper that's labeled so that I know which pennies came from which cleaning solutions. Now, if you look down below this video, you're going to see a printable log that will let you do this too. I have my lemon juice, and I have the penny from the mustard, and our last penny is coming out of the ketchup bowl. Oh, a lot of ketchup on that one. So as I rinse these off, I'm not really doing anything else. I'm just kind of scrubbing away whatever cleaning solution is left on them, drying off the water so it doesn't make too big of a mess, but I'm not adding anything else. So remember, at the top of this list, I have my 5th penny, the penny I didn't show you before, but it did match the other 4 pennies. And that was my control penny. I wanted to see what did the original penny colors look like, because if I just tried to remember it in my mind, it's not a very good reference point. But if I have a penny that matched all of the rest at the beginning, that lets me know what my starting point was, and it helps me identify if any changes really did happen in the bowls of cleaning solutions. Are you ready for this? Hopefully your pennies are showing something similar. And as I look here, I can see I have 5 pennies, and they're not all the same color anymore. They used to be, but now here's my penny that had no cleaning solution. I left this one out. Next, there's my penny that went into the ketchup. You can see that it is not the same color. It is a lot closer to that original coppery color when the penny was first made. Here's the penny that went into the mustard. Yeah, it's kind of still the same color as the original penny, isn't it? Not much of a difference. Here's my penny that went into the lemon juice. You can see that it and ketchup both had some really big color changes. So this one also went back to having a pretty coppery color. It's not quite as good as the ketchup though. And down here at the bottom, there's my penny that went into the soapy water. Absolutely no change here. So what does this tell us about pennies and why they turn brown over time? Now we all know that these pennies start out really nice, bright, coppery, shiny. And over time, we know they get dull, they get brown, and it's tempting to think that they turn brown because they're dirty. Right? We handle this money all the time. But money tends to be dirty, and it's really tempting to think that soapy water might be the answer. But there's our penny that went into soapy water. And here's our penny that had nothing happen to it, and they are the same color. That soapy water didn't help at all, because the reason this penny turned brown isn't from dirt. So if it doesn't turn brown because of dirt, usually, why do pennies turn brown? And the answer to that is actually oxidation. And oxidation means that the copper in the penny interacts with the oxygen and the moisture in the air to form a crust over it. So that outer layer of copper changes a little bit. There are other metals that also oxidize. One that you might be more familiar with is iron. When iron oxidizes, it forms rust. And rust is that red, brownish, crusty stuff that'll fall off of things like pipes and railings outside. But copper does something a little bit different. It doesn't get gritty and it doesn't flake off of the metal. It stays there. And it just feels like it's part of the metal now. So when we were looking at our other potential cleaning solutions, the ketchup, mustard, and lemon juice, we were actually looking for a chemical reaction that would release that iron oxide and reveal the copper underneath that hadn't oxidized yet. So eventually, the pennies that we made really bright and shiny, they'll go back to being dull brown too. But the reason why some of these cleaning solutions worked has to do with acid and salt. So that oxidized layer, the copper oxide that's brownish on the outside, can be removed with acids, and especially acids that have salt in them. Do you know what's in ketchup? Well, okay, tomatoes. But if you look at your ingredients on your ketchup, it also probably says that it has vinegar, and it probably says that it has salt. Vinegar is an acid. Tomatoes themselves are also a weak acid. And then there's the salt, which is why when we take a look at this penny that went into the ketchup bowl, and we compare it to this penny, which is the original color, that's a really big difference. Look at that. This penny looks a lot closer to the color of a new copper penny, and that's because the oxidized copper has all been removed by the ketchup. So here we have our mustard penny, and here again is the color it was before it went into mustard. There is not much of a change. And finally, we have the penny that went into lemon juice. And that is another big change. There's the color it was before, and here's the color it is now. And if we compare it to the one that we put in the ketchup, they both got a lot brighter, but the ketchup, it just worked a little bit better. And that has to do with the salt. The lemon juice has a lot of acid in it, and that helped to take away some of the oxidization. That's kind of a hard word to say. Took away some of that copper oxide, but it doesn't have salt. And the ketchup, because it had the salt in it, was a lot more effective. So take a look at your own pennies. Did your own pennies do the same thing? Do you think that you could try any other ingredients? Think about other things around your house that also have acids and salt in them. Maybe you have some hot sauce. Maybe you want to try making your own out of vinegar and table salt. See what comes up. See what works. And have a lot of fun doing some science at home. Bye-bye.